At 8:03 p.m., the last confirmed sighting is recorded. She is standing beside her car, headlights cutting through the empty road. A neighbor watches from a distance. Nothing seems urgent. Nothing seems wrong. 7 minutes later, she is gone. No footprints leading away. No sound of a struggle. No trace in the snow. The car is still there. The door is locked. And by the time police arrive, there is no one left to question. But behind that quiet moment, something wasn't right. Because earlier that day, she had already begun to disappear. By all accounts, her life moved with quiet order. She kept a routine, classes in the morning, part-time shifts in the afternoon, long drives when she needed space to think. Friends described her as focused, reserved, someone who carried more in her mind than she ever said out loud. She studied hard, spoke little about her worries, and kept her plans close. To those around her, nothing seemed out of place. No sudden changes. No clear signs of distress. But in the days leading up to that night, small details began to shift. Phone calls went unanswered. Messages were left without reply. She withdrew cash, more than usual, and packed a bag without telling anyone where she was going. It wasn't enough to raise alarm. Not yet. Because on the surface, everything still looked normal. And that's what made what happened next so difficult to understand. That evening, the road was nearly empty. At 7:27 p.m., a call comes in, single vehicle crash. Her car has struck a snowbank along a quiet stretch of road. The damage is minor. The engine is still warm. A school bus driver stops. He speaks with her briefly. She appears shaken, but not injured. He offers to call for help. She refuses. Minutes pass. Another witness sees the same car, now silent. The interior light flickers on, then off. No one else is seen nearby. No passing vehicles stop. At 7:46 p.m., the first police officer arrives. The car is locked. Her phone, her belongings, still inside. But she is gone. There are no footprints leading into the woods. No signs of a struggle on the road. No clear direction of travel. Just a narrow window of time, and an absence that doesn't make sense. Because in those few minutes, between the last conversation and the arrival of help, something happened. And whatever it was, it left almost nothing behind. In the hours that follow, the story begins to fracture. The bus driver insists she seemed composed, quiet, but clear in her refusal to involve police. He says she never mentioned leaving, never asked for a ride. Just a brief exchange, then distance. But another neighbor remembers something different. A shadow moving along the road. A car slowing, then continuing. No faces. No voices. Just a moment that didn't last long enough to be certain. When officers search the area, the cold has already settled in. Fresh snow should have preserved every step. It doesn't. There are no tracks leading into the trees. None along the roadside. Nothing that shows where she went. Inside the car, small details begin to stand out. The driver's seat is pushed back. A rag is found in the exhaust pipe, placed there deliberately. Investigators question whether it was meant to prevent smoke, or something else entirely. Her phone is gone. Earlier that day, she had made calls no one could fully explain. Brief conversations. Sudden silence. A message left behind that suggested she would be away, but not why. Friends say she sounded distant. Not afraid. Not urgent. Just, withdrawn. And then there's the timing. From the moment the bus driver leaves to the arrival of police, barely 10 minutes pass. In that space, she disappears without a trace. No one hears a struggle. No one sees her leave the road. Yet someone, somewhere, had to cross that stretch of darkness. Because behind the stillness of that night, something didn't add up. And every answer seems to raise a new question. Then the timeline begins to shift. The rag in the exhaust, once dismissed as a simple precaution, starts to look deliberate. Something taught, not improvised. A detail that suggests planning, not panic. Records show she had searched for directions to remote locations days before. Quiet places. Far from the road where her car would later be found. The calls she made that afternoon, short, controlled, almost rehearsed, and without explanation. One of them, investigators later note, was to a number that has never been publicly identified. And the car itself raises more questions. The impact was minor. Not enough to disable it. Not enough to trap her there. So why stay? Why refuse help? Then a new detail surfaces. A witness, overlooked at first, recalls a second vehicle in the area. Parked briefly. Engine running. Gone before police arrive. It changes everything. Because now, the narrow window of time no longer feels empty. It feels occupied. And the assumption that she vanished alone, no longer holds. What remains are possibilities. One theory suggests she left by choice. That the crash was a turning point, not an accident. The searches, the withdrawn cash, the quiet calls, pieces of a plan to disappear and start over somewhere no one would think to look. Another points to that missing window of time. A passing car. A brief stop. An offer of help that turned into something else. Quick, controlled, and gone before anyone realized what had happened. And then there is the landscape itself. Cold. Dark. Unforgiving. Some believe she stepped away from the road, into the trees, disoriented, alone. That the silence swallowed any trace of where she went, leaving nothing behind but questions. Each explanation fills part of the gap. None of them close it. Because behind every version of events, something still doesn't align. And the truth remains just out of reach. In the end, the road is still there. Cars pass through it every night, headlights tracing the same stretch where everything changed. The snow has come and gone, seasons have moved on, but that narrow window of time remains untouched, sealed between two ordinary moments that no longer feel ordinary at all. Her car was found. Her belongings were found. But her, never. Investigators return to the same questions, again and again. Retracing steps that leave no marks. Replaying conversations that end too soon. Studying a timeline that holds together, until it doesn't. Because something happened in those minutes. Something precise. Something that left almost nothing behind. And even now, years later, that absence still speaks louder than any answer ever could. So what do you think happened in those final moments? Did she walk away on her own, or did someone else make that decision for her? Look closely at the details. Because somewhere in them, the truth is still waiting.